Hello everyone, I am Kajal Jha, lecturer in Praveen Patil College of Diploma Engineering and Technology. Today's chapter is that is subject is electronic engineering material 22217 of the department EJ. That is the semester is EJ2Y. Unit number 4, that is semiconductor materials. In that chapter we have to study about what is the energy band of solids, then conductors, semiconductors, non-conductors, then what are the types of semiconductors, that is what are the intrinsic materials, uh, impurity type and material for a various impurities, then what is mean by diffusion, what is mean by Hall effect, then thermal and electrical conductivity of a semiconductor materials, then material for a fabrication of these semiconductor devices, what are the passive materials and process materials, then substrate metals, capacitance material, then junction coating, device porting and packaging. So all these points we have studied in this chapter. So first, types of the materials. We aware that there are three types of materials present. So first is the metal, then insulators, and third one is the semiconductors. So here the relationship between the resistance of the semiconductors and the temperature is non-linear. Okay, so the resistance temperature coefficient of the semiconductors can be either positive or negative at a room temperature. Very important features of the semiconductors is that if we add a small amount of impurity by the process called as doping, so then there is a considerable effect on its resistance. In fact, resistance increases with increase in the amount of impurity. So typical examples of the semiconductors are boron, then silicon, germanium, phosphorus, bismuth. In addition to these semiconductors, there are different types of semiconducting compounds as well as such as alloys, then oxides, sulfates, and selenides. Okay, so the main difference in between the metal and semiconductors is that the conductivity of that semiconductor is increased with increase in impurity percent, but that the metals decrease with the increase in the impurity percent. So we can classify the solids into the three categories, that is metals, then semiconductors and insulators. So we can also classify them on the basis of the number of free electrons present in the material at the different temperatures. Then conductors have a large number of free electrons and their number is not dependent on temperature. Insulator have a very few number of electrons at ordinary temperature, and semiconductor have a efficient or a sufficient number of free electrons, and their number increases with increase in the temperature. So the number of free electrons in a semiconductors is a much less than that in a metals. So we can explain that using the properties of the materials by studying the change in the energy levels that occur when a large number of atoms come together to form a solid. Okay, so ev unit the EV unit of the energy, the unit of the energy in a MKS system is a joules. So 1 joule is equal to 1 watt second. So it is possible to convert a joule into watts, so kilowatts, etc. But joule is a too large unit. So a slightly smaller unit of energy is ergs. So 1 erg is equal to 1 into 10 to the power minus 7 joules. So for the energies related to the electronic devices, the erg also is a very large unit. So therefore the smaller unit of the energy called as electron volt has been introduced for the measurement of the or unit of the energy. Next is the nature of atom or atomic structure. So we have to study the nature of atom. So any substance, solid, liquid or gaseous, is made up of molecules, and molecules made up of atoms. The atoms contain tiny particles called as protons, neutrons and electrons, which are called as fundamental particles. Protons are positively charged, electrons are negatively charged, and the neutrons are electrically neutral. So the protons, neutrons and electrons of a various types of atoms, that is the atoms of a different materials, are not different from each other. They are same for all the materials. However, the arrangement of a protons, neutrons and electrons will be different for a different materials. So the figure shows the atomic structure of the atom. Okay, so here these plus sign indicate, or these circle is indicate the nucleus. Then these holes are indicate that is the electrons present in the orbits, and these are called as a valence shell, and this is nothing but the outermost shell of that atom. Okay, so the in outermost shell, whatever the number of electrons are present is called as the valence electrons. So we study, just we have to see what is mean by the atomic structure. So first the nucleus, and what in mean by the nucleus. So the nucleus, one by one we show all these points. So first point is the nucleus. The nucleus of an atom consists of two types of particles, that is proton and neutrons. For a given atom, the number of protons in the nucleus is normally equal to the number of orbiting electrons. So second point is atoms are electrically neutral. So, since the protons and orbital electrons are equal in a number, either equal or an opposite charge will neutralize each other electrically. So, the atoms are normally electrically neutral. Third point is atoms can be converted into ions. So, if an atom loses an electron, then the number of protons becomes higher than the number of electrons. Therefore, the atom becomes a positively charged, and it is referred to as a positive ion. Next one, electron orbits and shells. It has been discovered that the electrons can occupy only certain orbital rings or shells which are at a fixed distance from the nucleus. Each shell can contain only a particular number of electrons. In a general, a shell can contain at the most 2 into n to the power 2 number of electrons, where n is the shell number. For example, the first shell can contain the most 2 into, okay, so first shell is contained 2 into 1 to the power 2, because the shell number is 1. Okay, so 2 into 1 square is nothing but 2. Okay, so it consists the first shell consists of maximum 2 electrons in that orbit. So this is the 2n square. Okay, so where n is nothing but the number of shell. Okay, that is the number of shell. So second one can contain up to 8 electrons and so on. If we do according to the this equation, then we get all the number of electrons present in every orbit. So valence shell, next is the valence shell. Valence shell and valence electrons. The outermost shell is known as the valence shell, and the electrons in it are called as the valence electrons, whichever I will discuss earlier. Okay, this is the valence shell because it contains the 3 electrons, then the valence electrons are 3. Okay, so these valence electrons determine the electrical or and chemical characteristics of each particular atom. The valence shell may be completely filled or partially filled of valence electrons. So energy levels and the of the electrons. electron shells. So the closer an electron is to the nucleus, the stronger is the force of the that binds it. So each shell has a energy level associated with it. This energy level represent the amount of energy that is required to be supplied to the extract an electron from the shell. So as the valence electron are the farthest from nucleus, so it requires the least amount of energy to extract them from the valence shell. On the other hand, the electron which are in the innermost shell will require a maximum amount of energy for their extraction from the atom. So last one is the effect of additional energy absorbed by an atom. So an atom can absorb additional energy due to an increase in the temperature or from the light focus on it. Due to this absorbed energy, the energy levels of the electrons are raised, and they move to the higher orbits, that is the orbit which are away from the nucleus. So if energy is given to the valence electrons, then they will jump out of the valence shell and become a free electrons. Such a free electrons are not bound to the nucleus of any atom. These free electrons constitute the flow of current through the material. Next one is the atomic number. So atomic number, the number of protons in an atom is referred to as the atomic number of that atom. The atom of a silicon has a 14 protons and 14 neutrons in its nucleus. Therefore, the atomic number of silicon is 14. So what is mean by atomic weight? Atomic weight is approximately equal to the total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of the atom. The atomic weight of the silicon atom is 28 because the protons are 14 and the neutrons are 14. So the total number of proton and neutron is 14 plus 14 is 28. So the atomic weight of the silicon is 28. Electron orbits and shell, that is the this diagram shows the electron orbit and shells, that is the permitted orbits. As per the Planck's quantum theory, an electron revolves around the nucleus in any arbitrary orbit, but it can do so in only certain defined and discrete and fixed orbits only. These orbits are represented by an alphabet letters like K, L, M, N, O, P, etc. So starting from the nucleus outward as shown in this figure, that is first is K, then second is L, then again after is M, then N, then O, then P. The orbit which is closest to the nucleus is called as K shell, as shown in the figure. The next further orbit is called as a L shell, then M shell, then N shell, and so on. So these orbits are also called by their principal quantum number, that is n, which can have a values of n is equal to 1, that is for a K shell, n is equal to 2 for a L shell, n is equal to 3 for a M shell, and so on. The maximum number of electrons contained by a shell is equal to the 2 to the power n square, where n is the quantum number. Thus various orbits corresponding to the number of electrons is k. The quantum number is, if you see that table, then it gives you what are the quantum number of that orbits, and according to the subordinates and according the number of electrons you have to see in this table. So for a k, the quantum number is 1 and the number of suborbit is 1. Again, the number of electrons in a first shell is 2. Then for a k orbit, there is a number of quantum number is 2, and subordinates is also 2, and the number of electrons are 8. For a M shell, the number of electrons are 18, and for a N shell, number of electrons are 32. Okay, so next. The electron, if you see this figure, then distribution in a boron atom, this is the first shell, it is called as K, okay, and K is present, maximum number of electrons for a K is 2. So we see here only 2 electrons are present in this shell. Then the outermost and the valence shell contains the 3 electrons. So the valence electron for the boron is 3. Okay, this is the outermost shell for the boron. Okay, this is next is the quantum number. The quantum number is a value that is used when describing the energy levels available to atoms and molecules. An electron in an atom or ions has 4 quantum numbers to describe its state. So the Bohr model was a one-dimensional model that used only one quantum number to describe the distribution of the electrons in an atom. However, the Schrödinger model of an atom allow the electrons to occupy three-dimensional space. It is therefore required a three coordinates or a three quantum number to describe the orbits in which electrons can be found. So the three coordinates coming from the Schrödinger wave equation are as follows. First is the principal, that is denoted by n. Second one is the angular, that is denoted by L, and magnetic quantum numbers, which is denoted by M. So energy band of a solids. So in a gaseous substance, the arrangement of the molecules are spread apart and are not so close to each other. In a liquids, the molecules are closer to each other, but in a solids, the molecules are closely arranged together. Due to this, the atoms of the molecules tend to move into the orbitals of neighboring atoms. Hence, the electron orbitals overlap when atoms come together. In a solid, several bands of energy level are formed due to the intermixing of the atoms. In a solid, we call this set of energy levels as energy bands. So, next part of this chapter we will conduct in a next video. Thank you.